Gata on opening the sutra.
Good afternoon, everybody. The session, like all session, has a pretty unique quality to it. And I guess it's so common, why even say it, but the schedule doesn't change much. But the experience of each session is very much its own fresh, new, unique expression. And that's true for this one as well. It's kind of hard for me to exactly put correct language on top of it. But if I had to, I would say that there's a kind of an earnest longing, a sacred longing, perhaps even go so far as to say a holy longing. To get into full contact with reality. It's expressing a little differently here and there, but the rudder is pointing in the right direction. And that's easy for drift to start to occurring without us noticing it. And that's why, part of why it's so important that we gather together as community. This kind of idea of the lone spiritual hero who goes on a journey is a little bit inaccurate. Of course, somewhat correct, but also a little bit too singular, I think. I think the journey that we take as Sangha is more important than any one hero's calamity. And yet, each of us is very much on our own. You have to approach the temple somehow. And so each of you are in your own way. But ultimately, it leads to the seat of training and the seat of practice. And so I welcome you to it. We'll continue on with the Lankavatara. This is the last in chapter 7. Then Mahamati asked the Blessed One, saying, "So what are the steps that will lead an awakened disciple toward the self-realization of noble wisdom?" Recalling that yesterday the Buddha was queried about this business of the one vehicle as opposed to the three, and what is the realization of the one vehicle. And after that's addressed, Mahamati says, okay, so what are the steps? How do we do this, coach? The Blessed One replied, fool, there's no steps, be gone. Or, the Blessed One replied, well, there are some steps. We'll go with the latter. The Blessed One replied, the beginning lies in the recognition that the external world is only a manifestation of the activities of the mind itself. Step one. That's the beginning. The beginning, the true beginning. Not the preliminaries or the pre-preliminaries or the pre-preliminaries or the initiations or the first steps, the actual beginning. You know, in Aikido training, when I first started, it seemed to me like getting your black belt was like an ultimate state of some kind, because there's all these ranks. It starts, you're a -6. Your first test, maybe a half a year of training, congratulations, you have arrived at -6. What level are you? Below 6 floors. And then after another half a year or so, you may arrive at the lofty status of -5. And this goes on and on, -4, fourth Q, we say, third Q, second Q. First Q, the practitioner receives a brown belt. And the brown belt is a signifier that this one is nearing the state of Shodan. And this can be, I don't know, 3 to 5 year process, something like that. And Shodan means beginning level. That's your black belt. Your black belt now, if you persist and you succeed, you are given Shodan. You may now begin. And this is the correct way to think about it. You can't even, the basics are too advanced for beginners. You have to begin elsewise. It's just not possible. But after a certain amount of training and experience, now it is said you may actually begin training. So it's this kind of beginning that the Buddha is pointing to. You actually have to earn your way to this beginning. It's a significant achievement, actually. So this Shodan, this beginning level, first level, let us say. I'm making an analogy, by the way. We don't actually give black belts for this stuff. That would be kind of cool. The beginning lies in recognition that the external world is only a manifestation of the activities of mind itself. Dear one, if you were to spend these many days in sincere training and practice, and you did nothing but stumble into some intimations and noticing of the fact that everything you experience, the sensation of your hands, try this with me if you would, take your hands and rub them together. Where is that happening? Where do you feel this? Do you feel this out there? No. Where is this feeling happening? Is it in the hands? Do you see? Activity of mind itself. The sound that the heater is no longer making. Where do you hear it? The sensation of whatever part of your body is in contact with the earth right now. For me, knees and sits bones. That sensation of your body. Where is that happening? Hands are out here. The sound's over there. My sits bones are down there somewhere. Oh, really? Well, stay with it. Keep paying attention. Ring. The beginning lies in the recognition that the external world is only a manifestation of the activities of the mind itself. What is seen, heard, tasted, touched, in any way sensed, including thoughts and feelings, moods, modes, all of it. Further, that the mind grasps this as an external world simply because of its habit of discrimination and false reasoning. There's a reason why we grasp things as being out there. It's not like some deep, unique personal flaw to you alone. It's not even really a flaw, actually. But you have to see it for what it is. The reason why we grasp the external as external is because of the habit of discrimination and false reasoning. Remember the eightfold mind system that the sutra brings to our attention includes the storehouse consciousness and the ego, mind consciousness, and all of the sense consciousnesses. And you know, if you can't feel your body, then you're going to do a lot of damage to yourself. You know, if you're a person for whatever reason and you can't sense, let's say your legs or feet, you could damage them and not even know it's happening because you can't sense it. Pain is not a bad thing in this perspective. You touch something hot and your hand moves back. So that thing is hot, I'm moving away, comes later from the experience. The language helps us in certain very real world ways. So the goal here is not to simply never use pronouns again or never use language to describe reality in its conventional form. Don't become odd and regrettable. Some of you are on your way. I'll see what I can do to help. Kensei and I were laughing the other day. I forget when it was, but perhaps master yourself, be free is a bit lofty. It should perhaps say, at least don't be regrettable. Let's start there. Not anyone in particular, yes. So, the recognition that the external world is only a manifestation of the activities of the mind itself, and that the mind grasps this so-called external world simply because of its habit of discrimination and false reasoning. You're acclimated to it, man, that's all. And imagine a child that doesn't learn to differentiate. This is now a sad family. This is a family dealing with a child with a great illness, a great trouble. You want your kiddo to say, Mom and me, and separate, and I want more, and I hurt, and help me. That's good stuff. It's just that for complete awakening, you have to realize it's partial. In that growth, there's a gap that's created necessarily. I am my skin bag, everything else is outside it. It's just partial. And when we take the partial for the whole and expect the universe to operate that way, then we're constantly confronted with our expectations being not well met. And it's everybody's fault. My fault, your fault, their fault, its fault, God's fault, whatever, dumb luck, karma's fault. Somebody's at fault here. Actually, dear one, it's the way you're seeing things. And because you have habit patterns that condition the mind to see in a certain way, this means that you can condition it elsewise. It is in fact malleable. Here, impermanence is working for you, and thank goodness. If you were such a creature that you lived purely by instinct alone and had no cognitive capacity of self-reflection or language, you would be trapped. You might be completely manifesting ultimate reality, but you'd never know anything about it at all. You have to separate from oneness in order to realize oneness. This is the human path. It's not a flaw, it's a blessing. It's just most of us never get past the launch. Most regrettable. The disciple must get into the habit of looking at things truthfully. Now, this one, I hope you really take in. Our practice together is not one of escapism or quietism or just getting a little bit of a rest and a recharge, a little refresher. It's actually about seeing yourself truthfully, seeing your life truthfully, seeing reality as reality actually is, and then living in alignment with that truth, expressing that truth in a way that's geared towards the alleviation of suffering for all beings throughout space and time. It's a tall order, but that's what we do. That is what we do here. So the disciple, one who takes on the discipline, must train themselves, train their minds to be in the habit of seeing things as they actually are, as opposed to seeing things the way the discriminating, linguistic, logical, analytical mind tells you they are. Logic is good. I'm a fan of sound reasoning. And yet, what is it that's beyond those things? What's truth itself? Who are you? What is this life? What is death? What the hell's happening here? And implicit in this is the Buddha saying that you can see things as they actually are. We are not doomed in an impossible situation to which there is no remedy. No, there's remedy. There really is. It's been verified for some 2,600 years, at least. So, next, the disciple must recognize the fact that the world has no self-nature. What's the true nature of things? No nature. This might be difficult, this might seem easy, but set that aside and just be with it. The true nature of things is no nature. He goes on that it is unborn. This is really not abstract. This is the most intimate thing that can be said. True nature is no particular nature. Unborn mind. That it is like a passing cloud. Like in an imaginary wheel made by a sparkler that you turn in the air real fast. And you see the circle? I mean, you see it. Provisionally, there's a circle. How is it that that circle is there? Is that circle in the air of the night with the sparkler there or not? How is it that that circle is there? How is it that you're perceiving it? Can you imagine in your mind's eye what I'm talking about? Imagine a dark sky, and you've got a cool sparkler, a nice one, your favorite color, and around you go. Can you see in your mind's eye that sparkler? Close your eyes, imagine. You see the circle? Where is that circle? Everybody's seeing a sparkler-generated circle in your imagination. Where is that happening? Is that the same or different than if I had Kensei stand here with a sparkler? Kind of same, kind of different. Where is it that happening? What's the true nature of that circle of fire in the air that you can so plainly see? It's like a moon reflected in the ocean. You look down in a puddle, since we're in Ohio, and you see in this puddle in the driveway the reflection of the moon. Is the moon there or not? You're seeing it. You can take a friend, hey, check this out, and point at it. They'll see it too. You can interact with it. What's the nature of that moon? Once you see this moon, you'll see it everywhere. Everywhere. It's not just puddles and moonlight. It's like a vision or a mirage or a dream. A few people have relayed dreams. And you know, it's not something you need to go fishing for or expect, but sometimes at session, the dreams can be kind of intense. Has anybody experienced that? Yeah. I mean, when you sit and you start getting into a deep samadhi, a deep jhana state, a fuller bandwidth connection to your unconscious can occur in a good and healthy and wonderful way. Because the churning of the linguistic ego mind is quelled somewhat for some time. The churn that pushes and pulls and tuggles and tosses us around is set to the side. or it can be. And the mind becomes very, very concentrated. There have been times in my practice where I received very strong communications from myself to myself, from the cosmos to the cosmos. I know it's hard to say, but I can say for sure very meaningful. But what's the reality of that tiger chasing you in the dream? It's a classic way to try to explain these things. When you're in that dream, you're scared. There's a tiger chasing you. Like, who wants to be eaten alive by a tiger? That's got to just be horrible. Run, baby, run. Alas, 4 feet are faster than 2. Now, whether you realize that you're in a dream and find relief, because after all, this is not my true self, I'm dreaming. Or perhaps you further realize that that tiger doesn't actually exist, it's just a dream tiger. Or perhaps further you realize that the self and the tiger and the environment that you create are all expressions of mind itself. And this is your day. This is your day. With its ups, downs, euphorias, and banalities. Where is it happening? How is it happening? The practitioner must come to understand that the mind in its essence, the mind in its true nature, has nothing to do with discrimination or causation. It's like the rufflings on the pond are not the nature of the pond's water itself. The water is the water, whether it's calm or active. It's still just water. We tend to identify ourselves with the churn because the churn is compelling. Whether it's attractive or disgusting, doesn't matter. It's compelled you. It kind of grabs you by the collar and shakes you. And it feels very strong. It feels like I'm a helpless victim here. Look at my circumstance like this. Look at my experience like this. Look at what this one has done to me like so. Look at the regrettable thing I did to that one like this. And we're being throttled by what? Where's that happening? How is that happening? The nature of mind itself has nothing to do with discriminations or causes. Not positive, negative, or neutral. It's a land beyond yin and yang. They must not listen to discourses based on imaginary terms and qualifications. This is very tricky because we really like that stuff, a lot of us. The philosophical parsings and the lists and the metaphysical diagrams and the secret symbols and things. It's intriguing, but be very careful about it. You know, humanity's being distracted by information isn't really new. We're just better at it now. It's faster. But it's very easy for a person of some charisma to get an interesting set of ideas and start speaking with great authority on things they actually have no experience of whatsoever. But the ideas are so compelling. Be careful. Make sure that you're feeding your awakening, not feeding your delusion. You have to guard very carefully what you allow your attention to linger on. What you choose to give energy to. That these thoughts arise as neutral. That you play with them is the issue. Don't play with the toys. You have to put the toys down and face your life without such distractions. What is it when you're not chasing after or running from? When you simply sit and be and say, I am. What about that? They must understand that universal mind, in its pure essence, is a state of imagelessness. It's not fixed. Nothing is being held. Nothing is being grasped. No lines are being drawn. You know, it's possible to sit there in Zazen creating all kinds of lines and boundaries and arguments and moats and daggers floating around at yourself or others. And even though your mind may be inclined in this kind of way, you don't have to give it your energy. You really don't, you're not compelled to toy with those thoughts and allow them to toy with you. And it doesn't matter if they're pleasant, pleasing kinds of thoughts, even pleasing, encouraging kinds of thoughts, dear one, are in between you and this imageless state. It's not a matter of simply removing negative thoughts and putting positive thoughts instead, and now you're all better. It's not so trite. See the thinker. Realize the thinker itself. It's only because of accumulated defilements that these appear as manifestations and are perceived incorrectly. It's mistake upon mistake upon mistake, compounded. Not a good, healthy kind of mistake, by the way. You know, it's kind of interesting because rather than a narrative that says you are the inheritor of some great calamitous mistake which occurred, thousands of years before your birth, and that's why everything's weird. But fear not, there's a Savior over here, however defined. The Buddha doesn't go down that track at all. You are the master. You are sitting in the center of your own mandala. You must and you can actually take custody. You can hold well this mind, this life, and you can hold it poorly. How can you tell? Easy thumb sketch guide. Suffering? Poorly. Nine, for those keeping track in that way. its own pure nature is unaffected and unaffecting by such changes as rising, abiding, or destruction. This pure, true nature of self is utterly unaffected by any of the churn. In the same way that the sky's essence is not marred by any weather pattern that flows through it. The weather pattern is there, but it doesn't scrape the sky and leave it broken. They must fully understand that these things, such as rising, abiding, and destruction, come with the notion of an ego, the notion of a permanent fixed self or a soul, and its own conscious mind. Therefore, Mahamati, let those disciples who wish to realize noble wisdom by following the Tathagata vehicle desist from all discrimination and erroneous reasoning about such notions as the elements that make up the aggregates of the personality and its sense world, or about ideas as causation, rising, abiding, and destruction. This is asking you to fast from the junk food of false discrimination and language. So watch very carefully and with great precision. Watch what's going on in that mind. Pay attention to the body, to the breath, to the mind. Do not idly let what time we have left pass you by. Use it to its full. Take advantage of the incredible good karma that you have by listening to these words, by being in this space or being connected to it. You have this incredible opportunity. We all do. But honestly, compared to how many people there are milling around, just churning the churn and living the churn life, we are terrifyingly few. So for the sake of all of us who desperately need this realization to begin to filter into the world, please, it has to start with you. And I mean that like really. This lineage that we speak of with such reverence and fondness is a bunch of folks. It's a bunch of people who actually did the work and then didn't hide it. They practiced, they realized, and they gave it away. So let's join them, shall we? Let's play in that band. Let's do the real thing. And I tell you this, if you take a lifetime and you move 1% in the direction of Dharma, you've done an amazingly good thing in this lifetime. %? Oh. Don't be concerned about measuring and getting all the way done. I heard some people terrified by the fact, by the way, that I said yesterday, 100 days of session for an initial awakening, and give it 400 more for integration. It's best to not think about these things. Instead, just go, discriminating mind. And just get back to your practice. Because a little secret, there's only one session. There's only one session, baby. And you're in it, you're in it. There's only one. There's only ever been one. So here we are. Let's practice it.
Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow